A person's greatness is not written in their circumstances, it is written in their thoughts. History has proven this again and again. People like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, and Jeff Bezos didn't start with certainty. They started with a way of thinking that refused to stay small. And as Napoleon Hill once said, "What you think about, you become." But if that's true, why do so many people stay stuck? Why do they struggle, doubt, and settle? Today's story holds that answer. In the middle of a crowded railway station, where trains roared and people rushed toward their destinations, there lived a man the world barely noticed. A beggar. Every day he sat on the same cold platform, hand stretched out, waiting. Not building, not growing, just waiting. Coins would fall into his palm occasionally, but never enough to change his life. And slowly, without realizing it, he had accepted a dangerous identity. This is who I am. One day, something unusual happened. A well-dressed businessman stepped onto the platform. Sharp suit, confident walk, purpose in his eyes. The beggar's heart jumped. This man looks successful. He'll definitely give more. Hope rose. He rushed forward and extended his hand. But instead of giving money, the businessman looked straight into his eyes and asked, "Do you only take, or have you ever given anything?" The question hit harder than hunger. The beggar froze. No one had ever asked him that. Confused, he replied softly, "Sir, I'm just a beggar. I have nothing to give." The businessman's expression didn't change. He leaned slightly closer and said, "If you believe you have nothing to give, then you have no right to ask." Silence. "I believe in exchange," the businessman continued. "If you offer something of value, I'll gladly give you something in return. But if you bring nothing, you receive nothing." And just like that, he walked away. But something stayed behind. His words. That night, the beggar couldn't sleep. For the first time in his life, he wasn't thinking about hunger. He was thinking about truth. If I have nothing to give, then why should anyone give me anything? That thought changed everything. For 2 days, he didn't beg, not because he didn't need money, but because his mind was busy, searching, questioning, awakening. What can I give? On the 3rd day, he noticed something small, wildflowers growing near the tracks, bright, alive, free. And suddenly, an idea sparked. Simple, powerful. What if I stop asking and start offering? He picked a handful of flowers, returned to a spot, and waited. When someone dropped a coin into his hand, he smiled and gave them a flower in return. Something shifted. People paused. They smiled. They noticed him. For the first time, he wasn't just a beggar. He was someone who gave. Days passed, and something incredible happened. More people came. More people gave. Not out of pity, but out of exchange. And when he ran out of flowers, the money slowed down. That's when it became clear. Value creates reward. One day, fate returned. The same businessman sat on a passing train. This time, the man didn't approach him with an empty hand. He approached him with confidence. "Sir," he said, smiling, "today I have something to offer. If you give me something, I'll give you flowers in return." The businessman smiled and handed him money. As he took the flowers, he said, "Now you understand. Today, you are no longer a beggar. You are a businessman." Those words didn't just land. They transformed him. For the first time, he saw himself differently. I'm not begging, I'm trading. I'm not helpless, I have value. I'm not small, I've just been thinking small. That day, he made a decision, a bold one. He left the station, not because he had everything, but because he finally believed he could create something. 6 months later, 2 well-dressed men stood at the same station. One looked at the other, confused. "Do I know you?" The other smiled. You do. A pause. Recognition. Shock. You're the beggar? The man laughed gently. Not anymore. I run a flower business now. I'm traveling to expand it. The businessman stood there, amazed. What changed you? The answer came without hesitation. I changed how I saw myself. And that is the lesson most people miss. You don't become successful first and then think differently. You think differently first, and then your life begins to change. If you see yourself as weak, you will act weak. If you see yourself as stuck, you will stay stuck. But the moment you decide, I have value, I can give, I can grow, everything shifts. So don't ask, why is no one helping me? Ask, what can I offer? Because the world doesn't reward need, it rewards value. Change your thoughts, and you change your identity. Change your identity, and you change your future. If this story made you think differently even for a moment, don't ignore it, because sometimes one new thought is all it takes to change your entire life.